Hey everyone, Bryan Baylon here, and I have a new video for you. And this one, before we get started, just want to welcome you to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and joining me. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you get updates as they come along. And I'm trying to post every day, so you can get that content to you. So your support's greatly appreciated. So please subscribe. Today's topic is buying a new build home in Phoenix. And this is actually pretty exciting because there are a lot of new build communities that are springing up in town and on the outskirts of town with all different kinds of builders. And it can be exciting for you if you are in the market for purchasing a home. You look at all the resale homes and you think, well, why don't I just buy something that's brand new, that's never been owned by anybody, and that I know that is not going to have any problems. What do you consider? Here's some tips that you can consider or should consider as you're looking to buy a new build home. First one is usually the builder's lender has or the builder has a builder's lender or business lender partnerships. So if the builder has its own in-house lender, like it's the actual builder's lender, then they'll have incentives, right? You have incentives, or they have preferred lenders that are actual like third-party lenders. They also have incentives for you using their builders or their in-house lenders, basically. So what does that usually mean? So that usually means just closing cost credits. So anytime you purchase a home, there's going to be closing costs associated. There's going to be lender's fees, title company fees, and then prepaids and impounds like HOA or insurance or title insurance, stuff like that. So you have closing costs. What a builder will do is they'll partner with a builder and a lender, and they'll offer you incentives towards closing costs. So some I've seen recently, one closed today, $9,000 in closing costs. Another under contract that I have, $4,500 in closing costs, and others are offering $5,000 and such. So they're definitely incentivizing you to use their lenders. What I would recommend is to shop other lenders anyway. Now, a retail lender is probably not going to be able to compete with a $45,000 or $5,000+ closing cost incentive. But what you can do is, and I've seen this done every time I've worked with a new build lender, you shop another lender, you get a quote, a loan estimate is what it's called. And they'll basically qualify you. You have to go through, get an application, fill out all the information required. They pull your credit, all that kind of stuff. Qualify for a loan in a different place, and then give that loan estimate. They give you a loan estimate. Give that loan estimate to the other lender so they can compete. So the results are great. One time I had someone who was qualified for 5%, and they went down to 4.1. Another one that was qualified for, initially the builder's lender gave a 3.3. We gave a loan estimate from another lender. They came back and said, all right, we'll do it for 2.75. That's this year, actually. So yeah, and it's always good to shop, right? They're going to compete. They're going to put their best foot forward. They're going to put more options. I've usually resulted in the lender giving some more credits, possibly towards like buying down your interest rate, or putting giving you some kind of more closing cost incentives, or giving you more options. Taking your initial quote is like basically getting a quote for a roof and just taking the first person that gives you the quote. Have them shop around, right? They can also do that and compete. So it's worked out really a lot better for my clients, most of them. Some of them opted to go with the original offer, and that was fine because they had certain needs. But the best thing is that you have options that can tailor to your needs. Number two is to get an inspection. So this is totally optional. You're buying a new build home, so it's you're going to wonder, why get an inspection? There's no need. It's a brand new house. You'd be surprised. An inspection can be helpful for locating issues with the property structurally, because I don't know how many homeowners out there are actually going to go up into the attic and look at the structure and even know what they're looking at. You can have an inspector to get up there, and they can take a look at what's going on with the roof, the structure, any of the beams, right? And they can look at your foundation. They can look at pretty much everything, right? And and identify different issues. And what's neat is they'll test everything. You can do it too, but if you're a first-time home buyer or something, or you just don't want to bother, you can have an inspector do it, take a massive snapshot of the entire property in a sense of its condition, and then you present that to your builder and say, hey, we need this fixed, this fixed, this fixed. And it just gives you peace of mind because now you have an inspection. You can take that later and say, okay, this is what the screenshot, basically the snapshot of the property when I bought it. And when you resale it, you can basically assert that, hey, this is how it was. And then you have a better history of the property, right? It's more substantiated with evidence. So, and then the builders, usually they'll be open to fixing those things because they typically have like a 1-year warranty. They do. It's even if your drywall cracks or your stucco cracks, they'll patch everything, right before your 1-year warranty ends, because the house will settle for, pretty much forever, because of the expansive soil. And Arizona is expansive soil. So as it gets wet, it expands, and when it dries, it contracts, and that it changes the foundation, right, that your house is built on. And as a result, you will have shifting in your foundation, and it will cause cracks in your stucco. And that's what the weird noises you hear at night when your floors and your roof is moving. It's because of the foundation shifting. So you can get an inspection, and you can also do them in phases. You can do it when they're just put up the wood framing, and then you can do it when they put in the utilities, the electrical and the plumbing, and then you can do it again when they put everything together, drywall and everything. Different stages like that. So there's 3-part inspections, or you can just do it at the end. You can do one inspection at the end and just have them go through everything. So it's another option for you. Another tip. Number 3 is check on spec homes. Sometimes spec homes that sit on the market a while, they can go on deep discount. They'll slash sometimes 20, 30,000 on these. Now, they're not common in a seller's market, especially if things are selling. But if something's heavily upgraded, like let's say, for instance, you had somebody walked into a new build, they bought a house, put the earnest money down, which is typically $5,000, and then they fully loaded it, right? It was just everything to deck to the nines, and then they backed out, right? Lose their earnest money plus whatever deposits they put in, and then the house is on the market once it's done or about to be done, it's on the market as a spec home. Spec home can be that, or it can also be what the builder has just determined. This is a popular home in the area, and it seems like it's going to sell, relatively easily. Let's build a couple of these and just to our specs, and then sell it. So those are pretty much spec homes, and then those homes they can go on discount if they've been sitting for a while, especially if they don't appraise at value. So an appraiser will come in typically once it's done, assess the value of the property, and if they determine that it's an insane amount, right? Let's say it's you bought it for 400,000 and it's worth appraised at 360. Well, no one's going to buy it for 400, and if you list it at 420, it's definitely not going to sell. So they dump the prices. So that could work in your favor, for sure. What's up, TC? I see you there. So discounts on spec homes is a good option there for you. Number 4, and this one's actually pretty overlooked because you can think, well, new build, all I do is walk into a sales office. There's an agent on site, and I just talk to them and I can buy the house. Well, you can, but you can also use a realtor, right? If you have a realtor that you work with, there's a lot of benefits to that. And this one's totally underutilized for sure. Because at the end of the day, builder's lender and a builder's agent exist to represent the builder and the builder's best interest. So if you come alongside, right, you come into the office and you want to buy a house and you sign without a realtor, then you have basically saying that agent at the builder's office is going to represent you, and their best interest is to the builder. No matter what, you are their client, but you're going to go through their process. So here's the advantage of using a realtor. One is accountability. So what you can do is, and this has happened to me several times with my clients is they'll primarily work. A builder's lender will work with them, and you're pretty much as the buyer, the primary mode of contact, and I'm in there as supplement. So as you are navigating the process, let's say something isn't being done. Like for instance, this happened to me recently. One of my clients, they weren't getting back to her in time, right? As soon as I emailed them, they moved like lightning. They were responding quickly. And then I would tell my client, okay, this is what we need to do, and advise them. So it provides a level of accountability to all the parties involved: the title company, the builder's agent, the builder themselves, because you have an entity now, a real estate entity, a brokerage basically. And as an agent, I represent the brokerage. So you have the full force and weight of a real estate brokerage, license and all, with legal connections and all that, to represent you. And it really holds them accountable to giving you better service, right? Because you have the backing and weight of somebody that's got you in your corner, and not just a friend, but this is somebody with professional weight in the industry. So the builders will take that seriously, because the realtor knows the ins and outs of the law, and when something isn't right, and they can point that out. And especially if you're a first-time home buyer, or if you haven't bought a house in a long time, if you're downsizing, there's some new rules, right? There's some new regulations and laws every year, almost every month. So I keep up with that stuff. So this goes hand in hand with accountability. Number two is your interests in mind. An agent can hold your interests in mind. You have builder's agent works for the builder. Me as a realtor will represent you in the purchase of a home. Also, in shopping other lenders, I mentioned that earlier. If you're going to shop other lenders, you want to use lenders that have been vetted by a realtor. In my experience, I have connections to lenders, but also lenders that can give you, if you qualify, up to zero loan fees, meaning zero loan origination, zero underwriting, zero processing fees, which could end up, in some cases, $3,000. So they can cut that plus give you $1,000 in closing cost credits. Now, that lender partnership I have is more than happy to write or to do a loan estimate for you to compare against another lender, and especially a builder's lender, and help you get a better rate. And for the most part, it has happened. And then they're offering all those zero fees, which even looks better and more enticing to compete against the builder's lender, because they could argue, and that's usually the smoking gun argument is, well, I just have closing cost incentives. Your lender can't do that. Well, to compensate, they do give $1,000 plus zero loan fees, basically, on their end. There's still going to be like, document fees and things like that, assessments. Lenders still have fees. There can never be zero fees, but the major stuff that costs up to $3,000 could be zero, barring you're a well-qualified buyer. So shop other lenders, and I have those connections to help you. Number four is expertise. So, if something should be happening a certain way, I can let you know it happens. And then the process, understanding, how things sort of trickle to getting you to closing, right, from the beginning to the end. So to take all the guesswork out and to just be secure knowing what's going on with your transaction, and if everything's happening correctly, because there can be doubts. I mean, you could be under contract for an entire year, and that could just drag on, and you could be left in the dark sometimes. It could be weeks where you don't hear from your builder's agent. So having that extra expertise is going to be very helpful. And number five, and this is something I think is the most misunderstood, is that it actually doesn't cost you anything to bring on a realtor. So if you hired me, if you're buying a house in Maricopa County, in Phoenix, for instance, or any of the surrounding cities, that is of no cost to you, because the builder will pay my commission. So you have all my expertise, the ability to shop other lenders. I'm keeping your best interest in mind, and the accountability piece for the builder, among so many other things, right? Inspection connections, and making sure the process is honed in and dialed in for you. All of that's no cost to you. So what do you have to lose, right? And we have a lot to gain, right? And you can save money. You can save thousands and thousands of dollars in money over the period of 30 years just by getting a cheaper loan. And would you have known those options? Would you have been somebody to bat for you if you didn't have a realtor? or known to even ask the questions. And that's where I would come in. So yeah, our new builds are great. They're exciting. You're the first person to own it. The community is new, new neighbors, right? You're sort of forming the culture in the neighborhood. People are getting to know each other. This one particular community that closed is kind of neat. It's actually very modern, like ultra modern, like condos and single family homes and a gated community in a kind of more hip part of town. And it's very exciting because there's only been people that have lived there 2 or 3 years max, and they've already started to build a culture, and people are walking their dogs, and people are running, and it's just kind of neat that she's now joining that culture. So yeah, new builds are exciting. They're great. And if you get a chance to, please remember to contact me if you have any questions. And also, if it's in Phoenix, I'd love to help you out in purchasing your home and represent your best interests. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate your support to you guys that are here. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much. Hope you guys have a good night, and we will catch you next video.